Hello class, today we'll be presenting my research paper on the importance of effective communication within a workplace. So before I started my research, I developed 3 initial hypotheses. The first one is different institutions will rely on different forms of communications. Second is cultural taboos will not have an impact on effective communication. And third, the use of technology enhances the outcome of effective communication. The aim of my study was to further analyze the different factors that hinder and enhance effective communication within a workplace. So when you think about it, effective communication is the basis for how well or how effectively a company operates. So it allows for the flow of ideas, values, opinions, beliefs, which all in all enhance the productivity of a workplace. When you think about it, communication is such a crucial part of all of our everyday lives. So when you implement it into a workplace, there's obviously more consequences that come along with effective communication and not using it properly. My literature review will support how the flow of effective communication can fundamentally filter information. So I broke up my literature review into 3 different segments. So the first segment had to do with the impacts of effective communication on job satisfaction. The first bit of literature that I reviewed was a study conducted by Nabi, Fusal, and Adan. Our study showed just how impactful effective communication can have on productivity of a workplace, employee motivation, employee commitment, job satisfaction, transparency, and all in all creating what it is to be a productive work environment. I found comparable research from their research along with Montero, Kong, and Jindal's study, and they coincide with each other's findings from the previous study showing how effective communication in a workplace is the center point of how a workplace will operate. Both of these studies looked at large companies and how effective communication can positive effective communication can enhance internal and external relationships and communications, while negative communication is very damaging. So the second factor that I looked at within my literature review are the barriers that ultimately break down effective communication. The 2 studies that I looked at analyzed the barriers of language barriers, cultural barriers, and hierarchical structure barriers. The first study presented by Tay and Hegney highlighted how language can be an inhibitor, especially within other countries. We looked at non-English speaking older generations versus the new age generations who are usually bilingual, as well as looking at how certain cultures perceive different job titles, especially women job titles, differently. While the second study by Watson, Hetley, Gallows, and Kursky illustrated how cultures and speech within a large work environment will impede effective communication. Both of these studies focused on the healthcare industry and how it can be very hard to collaborate because different health professionals use different slogans or terminologies within their work. The last section that I looked at within my literature review is the use of technology in order to implement effective communication. Authors Lee, Noy, Bergman, and Ebery emphasized how Skype, IM, software applications, and many other technologies have allowed for the progression of businesses to operate, such as being able to collaborate on one document using, Google Doc or PowerPoint, being able to collaborate with a whole bunch of different people on your team from, different locations can definitely be very progressive within a workplace. The arguments presented in my study shows how effective communication can both hinder and help productivity within a workplace. The 4 theories that were presented throughout my literature review were the communication theory, social exchange theory, social learning theory, and symbolic interaction theory. I pulled most of my information from university libraries as well as scholarly sources from the internet. I decided to include the 3 sections that I did within my literature review because of the things that I know I personally face in a workplace, especially at such a large organization. Each study showed how effective communication is inevitably an indispensable component of not just everyday life, but especially within a workplace. It would be beneficial for me to include for further research study on age, education, and type of communication, so oral versus digital. The research that I presented illustrates such a kaleidoscope of factors that ultimately show different elements and importance of effective communication and how it is absolutely crucial to improve effective communication and use effective communication properly within a workplace, as well as how disastrous it can be when you are not using effective communication or there are barriers with ineffective communication. The two most crucial types of communication are between human beings and man and God. Communication is not just our ability to talk, it involves our ability to listen, our attitudes, and our behaviors. God's decree for healthy communication is to look away from evil and do good in our walk and in our words. The principle to effective communication is to listen and understand before we ever speak. So relating the Bible back to the work environment in my research paper, your ability to properly communicate within a workplace will ultimately affect how people view you. So relating this back to the work environment, your ability to properly communicate will determine a large portion of one, how you are perceived, and two, how well you do your work. So the main points of communication within the Bible is referring back on how you speak to others. The Bible specifically hones in on how it is important to speak kindly to others and to treat others the way you would want to be treated and the way you would want to be talked to. So even through the progression of technology such as computer screens, phone screens, it gives people the ability to talk to a vast amount of people in different locations. Therefore, there's more opportunity to act out of character when you're not doing it face to face. So no matter what our interactions are, either it is through screen, face to face, body language, it is important to never lose our Christianity and project hatred. So this will conclude my presentation on the importance of effective communication within a workplace. I truly hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned a little bit more about effective communication and how vital it is to implement it into a workplace as well as all of our daily lives. Thank you so much for watching.